Hi folks, Alex Klingelhoeffer here with Exencial Wealth Advisors. It's 7:49 here on a Friday, June 18th, 2021. Here's your morning jog around the economic headlines of the world. So Juneteenth is now a federal U.S. holiday, the first new holiday since MLK Day was added back in 1983. What does that mean for you? Are banks closed? Are they open? How are we going to do this moving forward, given the fact that the president gave the U.S. economy all of about 48 hours notice that this was going to be a new federal holiday? Well, most banks are actually just giving folks an additional floating holiday off for this year. The stock market is open. Quite frankly, it's down about 300 points here in the pre-market. We have quad witching today. Of course, that means options are expiring. Expect some additional volatility throughout the day. Could be a good buying opportunity if you have some cash on the sidelines. Again, Juneteenth not shutting everything down despite the new bill. We're just going to give folks another floating holiday off. I think Nike's closed its stores on Saturday, giving its corporate employees off on Friday. Some other tech firms that adopted Juneteenth last year are going to be closing, but for the most part, all banks, that sort of thing, are continuing to remain open. Of course, the bill just signed 24 hours ago, 48 hours or so, not giving companies a whole lot of time to make formal plans. Google's Adtech business is going to be investigated this fall by the European Union. Of course, looking at antitrust concerns for the tech giant. Google has really paid a ton of fines, almost $10 billion in fines over the past decade for anti-competitive practices. Ads are their biggest business. If this is a constructive penalty, could have impacts on 2022 total profits. My guess, probably will amount to nothing. They'll get a slap on the wrist and move on down the road. Commodities, of course, have been down quite a bit this week. Let me show you some big numbers here. Corn down 21%. All the metals down about 10%. Food down quite a bit. Of course, we've seen tremendous cost increases here over the past month and a half, 2 months. Now we're starting to see some of those costs roll back as those issues are making their way back up the supply chain. As we said, inflation, is it permanent? Perhaps, but not likely. Ultimately, we are in a globally deflationary environment, right? When you talk about demographics, when you talk about technology increasing productivity, prices should overall be coming down on technological factors. Of course, and you have inflationary factors like the Fed monetizing a bunch of debt. We'll continue to monitor the situation. I think it's important that you always have an eye on the US dollar and commodities when you're looking at investing in the stock market. You always want to have a good inflation hedge. We always have a little inflation hedging bucket in a portfolio. It's always a good idea. Last but not least, here's a company headline before we get off to a nice weekend. Smith & Wesson up about 4.5% in the pre-market. Their gun sales up 70% year over year. Now, of course, that's against Q2 and COVID, but hey, I remember folks were talking about buying guns back then. Tremendous growth in the arms industry. I've talked to a lot of folks around the country, and ammunition, quite frankly, to shoot from those guns, just hard to find. Gun people are fairly specific about the bullets they're going to shoot. They just are having a tough time finding them. Have to buy them when they're on stock. You see Walmart, the entire sections are out. It's sort of a global trend, right? Or at least a U.S. trend. We're seeing additional ammunition, additional gun sales continue. It wasn't just a COVID thing. It's continuing to be folks arming themselves, right? Buying more guns. Of course, having stimulus money still churning around the economy, still having folks with some extra dollars to spend on extra guns, right? Most gun owners own more than one, could be fueling a lot of that growth. If you want some additional information throughout the weekend, maybe even some U.S. Open golf takes, feel free to follow me on Twitter. As always, it's OKC CFA CFP. Until then, I'm out.